I'm actually, it's going to be 3 or 4 months before I get it developed, pending funding, a device that'll do what they call IP blocking, that will block out certain countries and everything, because there's a lot of people that just do business inside the United States and not outside the country. And if they do business with certain countries, then they could put in that IP address where it's being sent from, so the email will come through. But typically now, what you can do is put IP or blocking software, which will take care of about half of the spam.
Okay. One of the most common kinds of spam is these internet drugstores or pharmacies. It seems like you get more junk email from the pharmacy lines than anything else. If they're working from outside this country, how can we stop it?
Well, what I've been doing in the past is I actually go to the pharmaceutical company that manufactures that drug, and I complain to them. I was getting inundated by Viagra's spam.
All the Viagra ads?
Right, and I went and talked to the director of the pharmaceutical company, and they told me just to go ahead and forward those ads to them, and that they would take care of it. Out of the 8 ads that I had sent to them, all 8 of those companies are out of business.
Okay, and once again, remind us, how can we find out and report these fraudulent pharmaceutical companies? What's the website we go to, and how do we report them?
Well, again, you go to networksolutions.com and look it up, and you look up the email address, and if it's outside the country, then the only thing you can do is forward them to the pharmaceutical companies.
Okay.
And they'll deal with them.
Now, I know this problem isn't just common to Houston, it's nationwide. What is our federal government or Congress doing about this?
Well, I got a phone call from Congressman Green's office this morning from Washington, D.C., and Congressman Green is actually in the Houston district, and right now they have an internet bill that they're getting passed through Congress. Now, it did pass the House, it has not passed the Senate, and according to Congressman Green's office, they said 40% of all emails right now on the internet is spam.
Okay.
And by the end of the year, it'll be up to 50%. And the email companies are at full capacity now because of all these spam mails.
Well, thank you. That's very interesting. Well, we've come to the close of our first half, and we're going to take a short break, but stay tuned for the rest of What's to See when we'll introduce our next guest, Richard Lewis, who is the director of our IT department. This is Councilmember Mark Goldberg with the second half of our show, What's to See. We've been talking with Kent Harris of Computer Rescue and Network Services about the problem with child pornography on the internet and children looking at it, and also with spam and all the junk email that all of us get. Now I'd like to direct our attention to our new program that we have. About a year ago, we voted in a controversial $9.5 million program called Sim Houston, also known as SimDesk. It was controversial, but it's online now, and it's time that we all got acquainted with it. My second guest today is Richard Lewis, who is the director of our IT department. Richard, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Councilmember.
I know with Sim Houston there's 2 components to it. One is the fact that we're going to allow a lot of people that have access either through the library or at home to get on the internet and have access to a lot of software. And the second component is the savings that the city will realize by putting it into service among the city employees. Why don't we address the first part about the library use and how people can actually get a web address?
Yeah, as you said, Councilmember, there's both a public deployment of the product and an enterprise deployment in city government. The public deployment started in early 2000 by deploying the product on over 500 computers at 30 different library locations. Between January and October, we had 60,000 users in the library standing in line, sometimes for a pretty good amount of time, to use a terminal to access this product for 30 minutes. Those 60,000 people had 250 documents stored by October of 2002. It was a very strong success. We did acceptance testing of the product beginning in June through September. We tested 390 elements of the software in 5 of the modules. There's a total of 12 modules for the software. 5 of them were used in this initial deployment at the public access within the library.
You said in that first test that there were stored 250,000 documents?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. In September, when I accepted the work and we had 60,000 users, they had 250,000 documents stored. Those documents are resumes, homework assignments that children did using the product. The acceptance tests were positive, and the vendor was paid the first payment. And then we moved into both the enterprise deployment and the second part of the public deployment.
Now, when you said during that period of time they were testing 390 elements, what exactly is an element?
Oh, it's pulling up a Word document and editing it. That would be an element.
Okay.
But we had 5 modules, and we tested 390 different pieces of functionality. Everything except 1 or 2 pieces worked just fine, and we had to work on those a little bit. The vendor had to work on those, but they did a good job. They had a serious challenge integrating those 500 PCs where we deployed the product with the library's security and print systems, which is called Cybrarian. And so that was our first bit of challenge on integrating this product with a departmental or a business unit application. And that's where the challenges are going to be on the enterprise portion. On February 1st, we kicked off the broader public deployment of the product through a website. You can go to simhouston.com, and if you have what everyone in Houston should have, one of our Houston power cards that the library folks, Barbara Governor, are so proud of, you can register for Sim Houston for free. Now, we do have a 90-day grace period where you can register for an account without a library card. We started that in early March, and as a way to increase the users. Today we have 73,000 users, and we're adding about 2,000 users a month right now, and it's really been a successful project.
Now, you mentioned that people were standing in line actually to use the computers, but now that it's online, can't people just use it at home?
If they have a computer or some kind of device that can access the internet, and if they have internet access, they can. Unfortunately, too many people in our community don't have that, don't have a device or don't have internet access. Fortunately, both of those things, the prices are dropping. You can get internet access for as cheap as $8 a month. The various foundations, the Beaumont Foundation, the Magic Johnson Foundation, are making computers available to low-income areas in our community, and we're very fortunate about that. So over time, I think that we'll improve that. But if you don't have internet access and you don't have a device at home that can access the internet, then you can go to over 30 different locations at the Houston Public Library and get that access.
And are the libraries that we have in the city of Houston, are they all equipped with internet access?
Yes, sir, they are. Some cases, they're, the smaller branches maybe have 4 or 5 computers. Our regional branches may have 10 or 12, and then our main system downtown, the central library, has probably 30 or 40.
Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about the second half of this big component, and that is used by the city employees, and I believe you describe it as the enterprise?
The enterprise deployment.
Okay.
We have 14,000 desktop users in the city, and the return on investment that was estimated when council approved this contract assumed about 50% of those desktops would be converted to an internet appliance, which is cheaper than a personal computer.